Hi there, this is Sean from Hammersim. Today I'm bringing to you game 2 of a mini tournament I had at a friend's house a few weekends ago. This time it's vampire counts against wood elves. I again drew table 2, which had the same terrain setup as last game. On table 1 it was warriors of chaos against lizardmen, and on table 3 it was dwarves versus high elves, and the dark elves had a bye. Now the terrain hasn't changed. There was a couple of hills, a marsh, a standard fence and a building, but the wood elves do get to drop an additional forest, which my opponent dropped right there. My opponent's army consisted of 12 glade guards with a champion. Now the unit inside the trees had poison attacks. There is 20 eternal guard with full command. Then we got a treekin unit of 4 treekin, and then another glade guard unit on top of the hill, 12 strong, but no poison attacks on these. His only character is a glade lord, and he's inside the eternal guard unit. The glade lord's got a hail of doom arrow, and I think that's about it. I've just got the same army that I had from the previous video. That consisted of 2 units of 5 direwolves, 18 strong graveguard unit with the banner of the barrels. Inside that unit we have a BSB White King. Next to that there is a zombie unit, 26 strong. I've also got my Master Necromancer Lord level 3 inside of that. He's got the talisman for 4+ ward save. Next to that is another zombie unit, 25 strong, and I've got my 2 Khan Wraith characters inside of there just for now, just to protect them from any magical shooting that might happen. On to first turn, Wood Elves win the first turn roll, and he elects to move his units up. Nothing was in charge range. He then proceeds to shoot all of his arrows that he can reach at one of my direwolf units, killing them outright. In my turn, I declare a charge against his glade guard with my direwolf unit. He does the stand and shoot, but I think he only kills 1 model in that. All of my other units move up. I've taken my general out of the zombie unit because I don't want to get charged with my general at the front by Treekin or his Eternal Guard. I've moved my Khan Wraith units out of the zombie unit too, and just out of his charge line of sight arc. In the magic phase, the only thing I get off is an invocation, which just increases the size of the zombie unit somewhat. During close combat, my direwolves didn't stand a chance against always strike first rerolls to wound elves, so they died without even scratching that unit. Wood Elf turn 2, he moves his glade guard off the hill, which I'm happy about because I think I get to charge him with a Khan Wraith, or at least one of them, next turn. He moves his Treekin around to face the Khan Wraiths. They're the only thing in his army that can hurt those Khan Wraiths because they've got magical attacks, and the Khan Wraith are ethereal, and then he just moves the Eternal Guards up slightly. Vampire counts turn 2, I get the charge off against the Glade Guard with one of the Khan Wraith. The second Khan Wraith is a little bit too far away, so I simply move him up out of the line of sight of the Treekin, and then I move the zombie units up. I'm hoping that zombie unit number 1 is close enough to the Eternal Guard that they can't declare a charge against the Grave Guard there, so they have to declare a charge against the zombies, in which case I should be able to get a flank charge off on the Grave Guard. And zombie unit number 2 also moves far enough ahead that they're so close to the Treekin that the Treekin can't charge around them. In my magic phase, the only thing I can get off again is an invocation, which I don't mind. Both zombie units benefit from that, so they're 40+ strong at the moment. This will come into play much later in the game. During the close combat phase, I miss a couple of attacks with the Khan Wraith, so only managed to give him 1 wound. He manages to pass the leadership test, so he just holds there. Now during Wood Elf's turn 3, he declares a charge with his Eternal Guard against my Grave Guard, and I realized my error. I had left him enough room with zombie unit number 1 that he could actually wheel around and charge the Grave Guards. If I had moved the zombies forward another ½ inch or so, that couldn't have happened. The other charge he declares is his Treekin against zombie unit number 2, which I don't mind. I've got so many zombies in there, I should be able to hold that Treekin unit down for quite a while. And here we have a close-up of all 3 combats. I'll go through them left to right. In the Graveguard versus Eternal Guard, he declares a challenge with his Lord, which I accept with a unit champion, just so that my White King could be swinging at his rank and file troops and get a few more wounds. At the end of that combat, his Lord has killed my unit champion, but I don't mind because I should be able to raise him back next turn. I do 5 wounds to him, he does 3 wounds to me. We're evens on standards, ranks and everything, so I win by 2. He does pass his leadership roll though, so we stay in combat. In the combat between the Treekin and the zombies, I lose a few zombies because he had stomps and a fair few attacks, but they're holding up quite well. I don't really mind that. And with the Khan Wraith against the Glade Guard, I think I miss all my attacks, so again, really annoying there. If I just hit, I should be able to wound on 2+, but I can't even manage to do that right now. In my turn 3, I declare a charge with my zombie unit against this Glade Guard. I think with my banner and also my rank bonus, if I just have one good round of combat, I should be able to break him. The other Khan Wraith on the right fails the charge against his Glade Guard on the other side, which is quite annoying. And then I put my general right between 3 units there, which means if I cast Invocation again, I should be able to hit all 3 units on the lowest cast. During the magic phase, I get another invocation off. I don't roll that well for the zombie units, so their sizes don't go up by a huge amount, but I do get my grave guards numbers almost back to full. And this is what it looks like at the end of the combat for round 3 vampires. You can see there that his eternal guards, they are slowly getting worn down by my grave guard. My White King BSB is just doing really well in there with his toughness and the amount of wounds he has. The Treekin does kill a few more zombies, but I think they kill exactly how much I brought back this turn, so that's not a big deal. And my Khan Wraith against his Glade Guard on the right hand side, he manages to do 2 wounds to the Glade Guard, but the Glade Guard again passed leadership and don't run away. Wood Elf turn 4, not much happens in terms of shooting or movement or magic, because everything's involved in close combats now. This is a slightly more detailed view of the units just after close combat for Wood Elf's turn 4. You can see on the left that his Eternal Guard is slowly getting worn down by my Grave Guard unit there. His general has been constantly in a challenge with my unit champion. Every time I cast Invocation on the Grave Guard unit, the first thing that unit gets back is the unit champion, so that's quite good and handy for constantly continuing with challenges. Next to that combat, we have the zombie unit against this Glade Guard. I don't manage to do too much in the way of wounds against him, and he only gets 3 against me, so I think I end up winning combat by 1 due to my rank bonuses and my standard, but he passes his leadership, so nothing's affected there. His Treekin continues to do its work against my zombie unit number 2, and on the far right hand side, against this Glade Guard, my Khan Wraith does 1 wound, wins combat by 1, but his unit passes leadership and doesn't flee. Vampire counts turn 4. I finally get the charge off from the Khan Wraith on the Glade Guard unit on the right hand side, so I should be able to obliterate that unit this turn. I've moved my general more centralized again, just so I can cast Invocation with the small bubble and still make it. I get my Invocation off, and now zombie unit number 1 is massive. Again, I don't roll that great for zombie unit number 2, but yeah, this should hold in there against the Treekin, and my Grave Guard is replenished yet again. And at this point of the game, I'm feeling extremely confident. My Grave Guard's pretty much back to full strength against his Eternal Guard, who are just getting wilted down. My zombie unit number 1 is massive right now. Zombie unit number 2, while not huge, should be able to stand up to the Treekin, and my Khan Wraith on the right hand side, there's 2 of them against the Archer unit, so what could go wrong? So thinking this, I go to cast Van Hels on my Grave Guard unit, so that this turn they should be able to finish off the Eternal Guard. I do so with only 2 dice, just for fear of miscast, and what happens? I roll double 6s. Just great. Rolling on the miscast table, I get a roll of 4, which is probably the worst thing to happen, because it's the Dimensional Cascade. And then I have to roll d6. On a roll of 1 to 3, he gets sucked into the void. On a roll of 4 to 6, I'm safe. I end up rolling a 2. So my general gets sucked into the void. Just brilliant. So now I have to roll to see how much each unit crumbles, which means the leadership test. However much I will fail the leadership by is how many wounds I take on that unit. The Grave Guards don't fare badly at all, because they got a leadership 9 BSB inside that unit, so they're fine. Zombie unit number 1, I think I end up rolling Snake Eyes, which means that I only ended up maybe losing 1 model. Zombie unit number 2 didn't fare nearly as well. I think they lost a rank and a half, and at the end of combat, the Treekin have seriously smashed them down to a fairly small number. My Khan Wraith number 1 explodes from the leadership test. Khan Wraith unit number 2 is still okay. I think I end up rolling very low on the leadership tests. Now the game just got turned on its head. Before that happened, I think I was heading for a fairly comfortable massacre. But now, because I don't have a second caster in the army, every time it's my turn, I have to test for crumble again. So a couple of bad leadership rolls and my whole army could disappear. One thing good, however, does emerge from the end of this turn. During close combat phase, he didn't declare a challenge with his general, which I think was a mistake. I ended up swinging at him with 6 Graveguard and managed to kill him. Wood Elf turn 5, again not much happening at the moving, shooting or magic front, because everything's engaged in close combat. On the left hand side, my Graveguards have finally killed off all of his Eternal Guard. But the same round, his Treekin has killed off all of zombie unit number 2, so he's reformed to face me, and I've reformed to hopefully accept that charge. On the far right, against my Khan Wraith, the Glade Guard again lose combat by 1 and yet again makes another leadership test. So I think this is 4 rounds in a row where it's made leadership test of about 6 or 7 and managed to do so. Vampire counts turn 5. I shuffle back a little bit with the Graveguard so that it increases the distance between me and the Treekin. That way it needs to roll higher to be able to charge me. I forgot to mention, during the crumble test, my second Khan Wraith dies due to bad leadership rolling, and zombie unit number 1 again rolls very low, so they don't actually cop that many wounds. Graveguard yet again passes leadership thanks to the White King. The only close combat that happens this turn is between zombie unit number 1 and his Glade Guard inside the forest. I think not much happened there. We pretty much break evens with a couple of wounds each. Round 6 for Wood Elves, he declares a charge with his Treekin against my Graveguard, but thanks to my shuffle backwards the turn before, he ends up failing the charge and just shuffles a few inches forward. He also moves the Glade Guard number 2 up trying to support, but I think he's unable to do much from then on because it is turn 6. During the close combat phase of this turn, my zombie unit number 1 ends up breaking the Glade Guard that's inside the forest. They run off. I chose not to pursue, and I reform facing the Treekin. And in my final turn, I end up getting the charge off on his flank with the zombie unit number 1. All of that happened because of his Glade Guard breaking, as well as the failed charge from his Treekin. During the close combat, I don't do a lot of wounds to him, but because he can only get his unit champion in combat with me, he also doesn't do a lot of wounds. With my flank charge as well as rank bonus and standard, I win combat handily, and he ends up breaking, and I chase him down. So at the end of the match, this is what the map looks like. I've still got my Graveguard and my zombie unit number 1. His Glade Guard up the top has survived, as well as the Glade Guard on the right hand side. So here's the points breakdown after the game. I ended up killing his Lord, get 100 bonus points for the General. I killed his Eternal Guard as well as the Treekin unit. As for the Wood Elves, I ended up blowing my Master Necromancer up myself. He counted as my general. He also ended up getting a large zombie unit, 2 Direwolf units, as well as the 2 Khan Wraith characters. So I ended up pulling out a very slim victory, even though at the beginning of the game, or at least the first 2 or 3 turns, it looked like it was going to be a handy, very solid victory for the vampire counts. Some thoughts occurred to me after the game finished, and that is, you should never give up in Warhammer, because all your opponent has to do is have one bad round and you're back in it. And my opponent was pretty demoralized after the first 3 rounds because his Eternal Guard were getting beat down. All of his shooting troops in hand-to-hand combat. Just looked like I was going to pull out quite an easy vampire count victory. But come turn 4, I just roll 2d6 and get 2 6s on that dice. Instantly changed the entire feel of the game. My opponent had a genuine chance to win it at the end there. And yeah, as you saw by the scoreline, it ended up being a very tight game. So let that be a lesson to a lot of people. You could be down and out by turn 4, turn 5, whatever. But if the dice goes badly for your opponent, or you roll a few good dice, you could just instantly swing all that around. The other thought that keeps occurring to me in quite a few games now is how good Graveguard actually are. With the Banner of Barrels, and if I can get in a Van Helsing off on this unit, they're just so reliable in terms of damage output, and together with Killing Blow, and they're all toughness 4. Once you put a BSB in there, it's just a very tough unit for almost anybody to handle. And along those similar lines, I was just very impressed with how good a White King is for this army. It's toughness 5, 3 wounds as a hero, and once you give him a few items like a Night Shroud perhaps, he's just very difficult to beat in close combat. And together with the fact that he's got Killing Blow, I'm starting to appreciate this character choice more and more. As far as the rest of the tournament's going, on table 1, Lizardmen absolutely dominated the Warriors of Chaos, and on table 3, the Dwarves and High Elves fought out a hard-earned draw. Apologies for the lateness of this upload. I promised in the last video I was going to have this one up in a couple of days, and it's been probably 5 or 6. It's just been snowed under with work and study, but I will endeavor to get the last game of this tournament out in the next few days if I can, and then I've got a few 2,000 and 2,500 point battle reports which I've lined up. They're just of games I played in the last couple of days. If you like this video, please press the like button or subscribe, just so I know that you've appreciated my work. If you have any comments or tips on strategy, feel free to comment below. I'm always after the feedback. And until next time, I'm Sean from Hammersim. Thank you for watching.